Welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday, day 2 of Swamp Ass season. After finishing up my editing work at about 5 o'clock this morning, I got approximately 4 hours of sleep before Vicky woke me up to let me know I needed to go to the hardware store and pick up some fuses. We've blown almost every one of them trying to run the welders, air conditioners, and Vicky's stove all at the same time. Then I got in line at Great Clips to get my ears lowered and sat down to look at some social media for a few minutes on my phone, and found this incredible gem of a video clip. If there was ever a vaccine that should be mandatory, it would be a vaccine that would cure that. Anyway, after I got my hair cut, I went next door to Jersey Mike's and contemplated my first unarmed robbery. I picked up lunch for me and Paige Ann, who's out running around in her mail Jeep, sweltering. And then I get a text from Jeremy that Mark has evidently sold him an incorrect part. The story that I'm getting from my brother is that Mark has sold him a power steering pump that will not work with the factory brackets.
They even have a picture of the right pump right there. Look, there's a picture. And they send you a pump with a picture of what you wish you had. They give you this.
So I send Jeremy back down to Mark's to return this pump, and in comes Paige Ann. Well, how hot is it today?
Fires of hell. Go out there and put that on the floor in my truck.
Right now I'm seeing how hot your boobies are. 86 degrees.
Oh, bullshit.
What it says. Oh, that's terrible. I actually did go out and take a temperature reading off the floorboards in her mail Jeep. It's not that bad in there.
It's gotta be.
It's only 104. She was ready to leave after her daily ritual. Bye, Paige. Come back when you can leave sooner.
It's right here.
Yeah?
1995 LLV. About 2 hamsters worth of horsepower.
It's better than one.
One of them might be dead because it's so hot. Never won a race, even when I cheated. Give me a call. I'm ready to haul your Amazon.
You like hauling Amazon,
No, I
don't
don't.
you?
Go to the store. Get your cat food and dog food. They sell it all day, every day at the store, I promise.
But then what would you do for a living? You're just grumpy. So after lunch, Paige takes off to finish up her mail route. Meanwhile, Uncle Bucko has arrived at A1 Auto Parts.
Well, this is your pump.
So what's wrong with it?
It's not right.
It's a direct replacement.
No.
Really?
See this?
What?
This is the right pump.
Right.
This is out of my inventory.
That's out of your inventory.
Thanks to you.
What do you mean it's out of
now
your
leaving my inventory.
It's like a tank.
Well, when you use the factory brackets and factory brackets and you go to bolt it up to the block, the original factory bracket comes up here, has a bolt right here. It runs into the tank.
So let's look at this one. You know, I always have to get 2 or 3 things.
Oh.
You know, I always have to have backups.
Still got the wrong tank. See that tank?
What says that it replaces the aftermarket tank with no problems?
And technically, Mark is correct. The pump that he's trying to sell us should work if we were indeed using the factory brackets, which Jeremy thinks he's using. The problem is the bracket that Jeremy's concerned about came with the headers. The original brackets came off the exhaust manifolds, and right now, he's convinced Mark that Mark's made a mistake.
Sorry for the boondoggle with the pumps.
Well, at
But
least
I learned, you taught me something today.
I told my brother I was going to learn you.
You did, you learned me.
So at this point, Jeremy feels that his pump's going to work and fix this entire situation. The only problem is, his pump won't work either. So he has no choice but to pull the pump off Dennys Camaro and make a repair where the bracket had come loose and rubbed a hole in the back of the cover. Now, Jeremy has fixed it, but he still doesn't realize that Mark had actually sold him the correct replacement pump. He just didn't know that the bracket wasn't original to the car.
There you are, peeps.
All hooked up. Thank you so much.
And what the leak was a rub hole where the pump would come loose and the bracket actually rubbed a hole into the tin housing. So I just welded it back up and we gave her a whirl and she's dry.
Good to
You
go.
can see underneath. Dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Off to the races.
You rock, man. You absolutely rock.
A little while later, I make a trip down to see Mark.
It's after 6, we're closed.
I'm telling you right now, this visit is worth it.
Is it really?
It's worth it.
Well, okay, I'll stay up. We're officially reopened.
So Uncle Bucko paid you a visit
He did.
about a power steering pump,
Yes.
and he claimed that you sold him the incorrect pump.
Yes. He did.
You did not.
Really? Imagine that.
I know that's hard for you
It,
to understand or come to terms with.
it is. My brain's smoking right now.
Well, Uncle Buckolius, as I call him on his Gold Star days, evidently didn't realize that the original power steering pump for a big block Chevy bolts to the exhaust manifold. So when you replace said exhaust manifold with tubular headers, the headers come with this really neat little bracket that bolts to the front of the head
Sure.
that's not factory.
Really?
Said bolt and said bracket was the cause of your pump not working.
No kidding.
He doesn't know this yet.
Oh,
So here's the next part. Remember he said he had a pump that he drug out of his archives?
he did. Yeah, I saw it. He showed it to me.
It didn't work either.
Oh, he sent me a picture. Said it did.
Oh no.
Oh.
No,
And
no,
then-
no.
And he yelled at me again for selling the wrong pump.
Figures. He had to take Denny's pump off and weld a hole in the back of it that it had rubbed a hole in the bottom of the tank because one of the bolts had come out of the bracket and it had got loose and wore a hole through
Yeah.
it. So he took Denny's pump off, welded it up, repaired it, and put it back on.
Interesting.
What's up, everybody? So I come downstairs this morning and I start my morning ritual. I get a glass, I pour a cup of ice, and get myself a Mountain Dew. As I'm getting my ice out of the refrigerator, I notice something over there on the floor. Those look like Jeremy's slippers. Only Jeremy's not... Wait. Well. Evidently, Jeremy's taken a page out of Paige's playbook.
Do you ever maintain anything?
What are you talking about?
I go to wash my hands in the sink and the damn faucet handles fall off.
As Jeremy sits down to say good morning to the dogs, I lay something on him. Have you been down to see Mark yet today?
No, why?
In typical Jeremy fashion, when faced with the facts, he tries to find a way to place blame on anyone but him.
Who ordered the parts?
You did.
Yeah.
I ordered them. I just
No, Bill called you
You're right.
with the incorrect information
You're
to start
right.
with,
You're right,
and then
exactly.
you took that information. You didn't question any of the information,
I
and
did.
you blindly
I took it as
ordered.
gospel.
So I guess according to Jeremy, I should have ordered a power steering pump made specifically for a Camaro with headers and not exhaust manifolds, as if that exists.
What was your mistake? What was your mistake?
What was your mistake?
Well, I guess the first thing we did.
Yeah, took his word for gospel. Yeah.
Hey, it's a track record thing. I can't help it.
If you guys could get your crap together, quit trying to pin everything on Uncle Bucko.
I love it.
And guess who got it fixed?
Uncle Bucko did.
Without anybody's help.
Now, I love Mark to death, but he folded like a cheap suit on this deal when he had every opportunity to blow Jeremy out of the water, handing Jeremy what he considers a victory.
Sweet taste of victory. Dumbasses.
This afternoon, we wanted to put Billy's Nova back together, but before we could put the new oil pump on and the new oil pan, we needed a new oil pan gasket. And since I plan on taking the Malibu down to Cincy Street Nights tomorrow, I wanted to get my nitrous bottle topped off. So me and Billy headed into Jegs to see Uncle Terry to find out if he could match up this oil pan gasket and get my nitrous bottle filled. Plus, I wanted to pick up a couple of new yellow fuel jugs. Yellow to indicate that they have E85 in them and not methanol. Anyway, Uncle Terry got Billy taken care of on everything he needed and his new oil pan gasket, and Madeline got my fuel jugs and my nitrous bottle topped off, and then we headed back home to check on everybody. Miss Harley had been busy getting merchandise ready for the weekend so that we could take some stuff with us to Mags and maybe even down to Cincy Street Nights. Kenny had been cleaning up inside the shop, organizing tools, putting things away, and then when we got back with our parts, he began helping Billy work on the Nova. We needed to swap out the high-volume, high-pressure pump for a standard volume, high-pressure pump, and then get all the gasket surfaces cleaned up and ready to reinstall the oil pan. While Jeremy and Billy worked on that inside the shop, Kenny switched gears and started working on cleaning up the truck and trailer for me to get it ready for the weekend. Once the truck and trailer were ready, Kenny and Harley turned their attention to cleaning up the Camaro and getting my Malibu swept out. I really appreciated that because I didn't even ask Harley to help me with the Malibu. Evidently, she must have seen that it needed swept out and just took care of it on her own. Once we had both cars cleaned up pretty decent, we put the Malibu in the big trailer and loaded Kenny's Camaro up on the open trailer so it's ready to go first thing tomorrow. And hopefully on this trip to Cincy Street Nights, we have a little bit better luck with the Camaro. Just about the time that me and Kenny finished up loading up the cars, Billy backed his Nova out of the shop. He wants to take the car up the road and test the engine to see if the oil pressure problem has been solved. If it has been solved, there's a good chance we may end up taking this car to Cincy Street Nights with us tomorrow night. But before we make that trip, we've got to make sure we've got this oil pressure system problem solved. And right now we're dodging raindrops. It had just finished raining before we made this pull, and it started to rain almost immediately right after. Suspension and chassis-wise, the car looks fantastic out on the road. I'm just hoping that when we pull back into the shop, Billy's got good news for me.
You guys grab the trim?
No.
Yeah, that thing got some travel.
Hey, bro. It did not care whatsoever.
Yeah, that thing got some travel, though. It felt like the Falcon.
Did it?
Yeah.
It looked like the Falcon.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, when you laid into that thing, it just come up in the front end and it was trucking. It went from low to full extension and back down. It never wiggled or nothing that we saw.
Right when it went back
Yeah,
down
just
there?
like dead straight. I'm sure it was at full travel. I couldn't
Oh, it
imagine
was.
any higher.
When you went by, you could see the front end go. And it just,
That was gate pressure.
Gate?
Yeah.
How's the oil pressure?
As long as you stayed in it, was black streaks. Like
When
it
I got
wasn't
on the
smoking
brakes, the
fire.
oil pressure dropped 8 pounds, so I shut it off. But like cruising, it was better, slightly better. But like when I got on the brakes after that hit, I watched it go down and I shut it off and let it coast, let the oil return, and then it was fine.
It really needs to have restrictors put in it.
Something, man.
Well, what do you think?
It felt really good. I eased into it, and once I felt it start to grab, I matted it, and it lifted up nice and smooth. I could feel it bite in the back, and it felt like the Falcon, the way it extends in the front, but it had more torque than the Falcon. I felt like just the way it came in at low RPM, it just felt like it was going to move. And the longer I stayed in it, it was just like, okay, it's going to do something funny. I was just waiting for it to do something funny, and it never did. So I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like, because I was expecting the alignment to be off and it would drive one way or the other. Like, I'm not saying the alignment would have been off, but like we couldn't get it perfect with what I had. So I was a little concerned, but it drove perfectly straight. The rear suspension worked perfectly. I could see that it was planting the rear tires because like this thing sits really low at ride height, and it was lifted up in the back and the front. So it was digging for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to go down the street pretty good. The tune was really close. It didn't try to self-correct more than 2 or 3% when I was wide open throttle at 11 pounds of boost. So I was really happy with that because I haven't even made a full pull. That's the first full pull. And I've just been going off of what I think it's going to use fuel-wise based on the horsepower it should make and the fuel that it's on and the efficiency of the engine. And it was really close.
I was really impressed to see that thing extend the front end and not white smoke the tire.
No, it black tracked just a little bit, but hell, I mean, it had just rained an hour before and the cracks of the road were still wet.
Yeah. And that's not a very clean road either. I mean, that
No.
road's pretty dirty.
It's very traveled, a lot of farm equipment on it.
And it's planting season,
Yeah.
you know, so I mean, that road's definitely not a good road to be screwing around on, but it's a good, if you're going to have problems, that's a good place to find them, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
If you're looking for trouble, you could have found it out there on that road. So the car extended good, the suspension feels good, the steering feels good, the engine feels good. We're still battling a small oil pressure issue. We're probably going to have to put oil restrictors in the block to solve that problem. But transmission feels good, rear end's quiet,
The converter seems good. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Bubba Rafferty did me a converter. The guys at 501 Perfect Converter.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't loose. I mean, I was probably going. I mean, I don't want to say my speed to criminalize myself, but it was going pretty fast. But then I was on it for 4.5 seconds, and it was going pretty fast near the end of the pull. But it only went to 6,500 RPM. So that tells me the converter is pretty tight.
It's pretty efficient then.
Yeah.
Because you've got to calculate in some wheel speed too.
There was a little bit of wheel speed too. So, I mean, I think the converter is pretty good. I do. Just from what I felt driving it around, I feel like it's going to be pretty good.
Pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Like right now, if we didn't have an oil pressure issue, we'd probably be going to Cincy Street Nights with it tomorrow, from what I saw.
I definitely would.
So, you're going to stay home tomorrow and work on the car. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Malibu down to Cincy Street Nights. Me and your mom's going to go down there. Because I'd like to try and get an ET on that Malibu since I put it on E85. I haven't been able to make a hit on it yet. So I'm going to go down there and run 1150 index with it. Kenny's going to take the Camaro down. But you and Uncle Bucko are going to stay here and Uncle Rob and try and get this oil restrictor put in and get down on that. And then Saturday we're going to Mags.
Yeah. This thing will go down Mags. I'm telling you.
You going to take it to Mags?
If the oil pressure issue is fixed, I will.
Are you serious?
I would. I'm very confident in it just from what I did right there. If I had good oil pressure all the way through, I believe I could put this thing down Mags, no problem. Just by the way the suspension worked and what I felt, there's no question I could put it down Mags on the first pass. And I think it'll go rounds. So I've gotten this comment probably 200 or more times today. I have turbo screens. They fit on here and they protect it from rocks and all the debris you guys are talking about. I don't know why it wasn't videoed when we made the test hit the other day. It was videoed without them before we put them on, and I'm like, Tommy videos everything that's wrong in slow motion. Everything that could ever be wrong with the car, he's gonna video it, and he's gonna video it in HD and slow motion for everybody to comment on. But as soon as I make it right and get ready to make a hit, it's not in the video. The alignment's like this. The turbos don't have screens on them. We got oil leaks. Like it looks like the pulley's about to fall off. Anything that could possibly be wrong with it, it's gonna be videoed right before the hit in slow motion, 4K, and it'll be out there for everybody to comment on for months. So I have turbo screens, and I've been running them every time I take it out of the driveway. Thanks.
So there's that.